So the first question is from Justin Dunk. Please go ahead, Justin.
Coach Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation. Thanks for doing this. I'm curious how the Jake Maier trade came together, start to end.
Yeah, what's going on, Dunker? Yeah, it was just something, we identified as, a player that could help the team. And we just had a feeling that there was going to be a few teams that would be interested. So we felt strongly about, having him wear the green and white. So we kind of took matters into our own hands to facilitate a trade and allow us, that buffer time before free agency hit to strike a deal. And, luckily for us, all parties, agreed upon a deal and, we're all walking away happy. So it's something that we're certainly happy with.
Jake said he views this as a reset for his CFL career. He's focused on being a backup to help Trevor in 2025. But do the Riders see that potential heir apparent in Jake Maier for him in the future at quarterback?
Yeah, there's always a possibility of that. I think everybody understands that as you play the sport. I'm very vocal about how much I love Trevor, and as long as he feels like he could play, there's always going to be kind of a spot. But for having somebody of Jake's caliber and the experience that he's had, in his career to this point, and being still a young quarterback, I just feel like it sets us up to have just more depth in that position. And experience at that position. I don't know that there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league, certainly some good ones that are going to be in a backup role that'll have, the wealth of experience that he's had being a franchise quarterback in this league already and still being young at that. So certainly I know he's going to learn a tremendous amount from Trevor and obviously Mueller, who he's familiar with. But also I know vice versa. Trevor's a student of the game, and I'm sure there's things that he's going to ask Jake about, and just knowing the type of people that they are, good harmony. So it's good for us.
How have you not sat down with Jameer Thurman and got a deal done yet?
Have we not?
Yeah.
We haven't? I don't know.
Did we? One? Is there one?
Did we? Have we? I don't know. Jameer is a great player, and I hope he plays for us. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Is that signing imminent?
What's that?
Is him re-signing close?
Yeah, we're in talks. We definitely like him, and I think he likes us. We just got to make sure that we get that deal struck up.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. The next question is from Jacob Carr. Please go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, Coach. Jacob from Global Regina. Speaking of deals, just came down the pipe that Malik Carney re-signed to an extension. Do you have any details on that? And then just a follow-up, I guess. How big is that to get him back along that D-line?
Yeah, what's going on, Jacob? I can't believe you guys seeing my face. You guys ain't even putting your face on here. I miss you guys, man. Again, another guy who, we feel tremendous about. There you go, Jacob, man. Looking good, brother. We definitely wanted to have Scoot back in the building. It was just a matter of getting the deal done, and certainly, to my knowledge, obviously at that position specifically, and knowing the kind of player Scoot can be when he was healthy, it was going to be an intriguing player for anybody to have on their roster. So certainly for us, we made it a priority for us to go get him from another team last offseason. And now it's just about us keeping him in the building. Another guy who I believe, really wanted to stay and who we wanted back. It was just a matter of going through the process. So it's huge for us, man. I really do think that he's kind of just scratching the surface. He's another guy, unfortunately, had to deal with a little bit of injury last season. I know he's going to be pushing himself, and we've challenged him to push himself even further in the off season. Not as only as it pertains to, just working out, because he's always in pretty dang good shape. Just working on things that maybe we can do to prevent injuries, just to keep him more available for himself on the field, man, to make those dynamic plays. We know he can, but tremendous defensive lineman. He can play 3-tech, he can play 5, he can play off the ball, he can drop, he can pass rush, and he plays with great effort. So big Malik Carney fan. Happy he's wearing the green and white, baby.
For sure. Just a question about you. Obviously, last season, first as a head coach in the CFL. Obviously, pretty successful. You make the West Final. Really instill that culture of family and community and in the Riders locker room. What have you kind of learned going into your, I guess now your second off season and full season as a head coach that you want to kind of grow and build on a personal level?
Yeah, from a personal level is, just being more of a student of the game for myself, and this is why I love, these, these atmospheres and platforms that we're down here, for league meetings and AFC, just being around all the other head coaches and talking and, we had presentations today and listening to, coaches that, I've never had the fortune to be around and work with. So it's just good to just, seeing how coaches, especially with more experience than myself, the things that they know and they're good at, and it's just kind of put things in front of me to make sure that I'm on the right path, which is things that I've earmarked that I'd like to, get better for myself, which ultimately is going to make the team better. Just being able to share more and more stuff with these guys. So, definitely trying to be a learn-it-all as always, to really put our best foot forward to provide more information for our guys to be successful. So, looking forward to that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jacob. Next questions from John Hodge. Please go ahead, John.
Thanks for doing this, Corey. John Hodge, 3 Down Nation. Trevor Reed signed in the NFL. I'm curious how you see your left tackle spot shaping up for next season.
Yeah, what's going on, John? Gift and a curse, right? Definitely was a gift to have a guy of Trevor's caliber, being such a young guy coming out of college. And he had a learning curve a little bit as far as getting comfortable with the CFL game, but to this day, I still think he's one of the most athletic offensive linemen that I've ever been around since being up in the CFL. But he's getting his opportunity, and then also the gift of the curse of being decimated with injuries at that position, be it the offensive line. We had guys cross training, different positions all season. So we've got a multitude of guys who we believe that could play at that left tackle position. And certainly, knowing our personnel department, with Jo and Kyle and Paul, LD, we're always going to be identifying, the offensive line, and specifically the tackle positions, for bringing guys to camp as well to compete. So looking forward to it. We're really happy for Trevor. Excited for somebody else to go ahead and take that spot.
I wanted to ask you about AJ Ouellette. Team made him the highest paid American running back in the league last year. He only played 8 games due to injury, and he averaged only 4.2 yards per carry. Do you expect him to be with the team in 2025? And if so, how confident are you that he'll have a bounce back year?
Yeah, I'm extremely confident, and knowing it's kind of crazy when you have to ask your running back to stop squatting 700 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of those conversations with AJ. He's just such a hard worker. But at this point of his career, he's got to make sure that it's conducive to him being as healthy as possible and trying to avoid some things. But credit to him. I know he's going to take it seriously. But even with that, having him back, certainly in the playoffs, I thought definitely helped us as well. He had a great game in the West Semi, and I know him pushing forward. I know what it means. I know what it means for us to have him out there, and all the things that he does outside of yards per carry. That's an asset to our team that we hold in high regard. So it's not always just about when the ball's in his hands and the things that he provides for our team, but certainly him being out there definitely is. So he knows it and wants it, just as much as we do. He's taking care of himself this offseason to make sure that he's going to be available for us.
Last one for me. Jake Mayer coming in as the backup. Does that mean that Shea Patterson will not be back with the team, or is that decision yet to be made?
No, decision yet to be made, man. There's so many things that are going on, during this time in free agency. As it awaits us, Shea, I think, has proven to be a very serviceable quarterback. He's won games for us. And certainly, I think there's going to be value in that. Could be obviously for us, as he has been. And I wouldn't, if it gets to the point where he gets to a window for free agency, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams lined up as well. So we understand the value in that as well as he's already wearing the green and white. So no decision's been made from that standpoint. There's still some time here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next question is from Britton Gray. Please go ahead, Britton.
Hey, Corey, good to see you. Looking forward to training camp, and I have a new Grizzlies hat hopefully on the way for it. So
yeah, you better order it now, man. Things have been moving slow to get in the Regina.
yeah. So Corey, just how different has maybe this offseason been compared to last one with the fact that you just get hired, kind of a whole bunch of things on the go there, and you've had the full offseason now to really evaluate and figure out who you want back?
Yeah, I think tremendously different in Britain from that standpoint, right? Obviously you come to a new team. There's already enough things going on with that. It's specifically personnel, as you're talking about. The film tells you a lot, but you don't have the interactions with understanding exactly what those guys know and what they're asked to do, how they are in the building, do they fit what you want? But you can kind of only guess, or talk to people around have been around those people, let alone being, in this role for first time ever too. I mean, there was just a shit ton of stuff going on, but you do your best to navigate, no doubt. Now just being a little bit more comfortable, having an understanding of everybody that's in not only the organization, but specifically in the locker room. A little bit easier probably from a personal standpoint and navigating through the off season, and also communication with everybody that's involved. Jo, Kyle, myself, or we're like this during this time, and the amount of coaches that all of the coordinators, all of us live in Regina full time too. So being in the office year round, like it's awesome.
Last year, it was a lot about build it and kind of creating the foundation of the culture you want. How big is it now that you're in your second year that kind of culture has been set already, and now you just bring in other guys to kind of help maybe increase it or just buy into it?
Yeah, no, and that's part of it. I thought last year, that was a perfect kind of mantra for us, is to kind of, set the foundation of what we're trying to build here. I thought the guys took heed to that, and certainly not to say that we're going to get away from building what we're trying to get to, because we didn't quite get the polish of the final look of what we were trying to build. So, but what I will say is the room will be able to dictate that more now than specifically me having to guide them. They know exactly what it is that we want to look like. So that's going to be fun, for anybody. Obviously, inevitably, there's going to be new guys coming in. It's going to be fun to have the players kind of dictate that. And hold each other, the new guys accountable for how we like to do things, as opposed to just the coaches.
Another quick one. Rockwell Armstead, is he under contract? And if so, what's his role for this upcoming season?
Yeah, Q's still under contract, man. So, explosive, obviously, we saw his ability. We went with the two tailback system as well throughout the playoffs, which, game dependent, it's kind of tough to get them both going, depending on the score, definitely. But again, a dynamic back, so he is under contract as well. And, we got to make sure that you can't have too many guys that in one position group that are talented, or you can't have too many that aren't talented. I mean, to have him in the room, it definitely serves us, good as far as we're trying to move the ball from the backfield. So, guy that's under contract, we'll keep pushing towards camp.
Awesome. See you at camp.
Thanks, Britton.
Thank you, Britton. The next question is from Frank Stanici. Please go ahead, Frank.
Corey, nice to see you again.
How we doing?
Good. The white looks really good. I don't know if you know this. You've got a green screen behind you. So when you're green, you look like you're an angel.
Is that what it is? Well, yeah, I don't know what's going on behind you, and I want to be there.
It's not real. Don't worry about it. Listen, the expectations in Saskatchewan have been raised. You guys came very close. I don't think anybody could say that you didn't come close enough to make it to at least to the Grey Cup, make it there at least. How important was that step looking ahead?
Great question, man. And something that, I'm looking forward to talking with the guys with. Ultimately, I do get the sense and the feeling that, our fan base and I felt like people thought we kind of maybe exceeded an expectation, but the reality of it is the expectation of what we wanted in the building, we fell short, period. I can't tell you guys enough about the belief that we had in that locker room and in that building. So for us, we're just excited to be a better version of us. Like you look at how our season went, even the record what it was. There's just so much for us to improve on everywhere. Myself, obviously included in that. Guys are excited about that. So I was very pleased for us to take the step and not only attaining the home run playoff game and winning one, getting to the West Final. But now, we understand we have the experience of being in a big game like that. We want to push forward, obviously, to the next one, to the biggest one, and find a way to win that. So, but the belief, I got no doubt in my mind, how these guys are going to attack it. But I don't want anybody to be satisfied with last year's results, and I'd say the same thing, honestly, if we ended up winning the last game of the season too. So, excited to get back to work.
Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. Next questions from Dave Thomas. Please go ahead.
Hey, Happy New Year, Coach. Year over year, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but when you're prepping for 2025, are you changing anything, or are you where you want to be in terms of where you were at this point last year to where you are now? And are there any intentional changes that you've brought in from yourself moving forward?
Yeah, great question, Dave. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, no, there's definitely changes. And it's not necessarily even just from a culture standpoint or anything like that. Schematic changes, changes in identifying, personnel is going to be changes for you as well, of how you call things. So there's definitely a multitude of things that you think about mentally, and or you talk with your staff or your players about you want to do differently when you have time to assess in totality of what the 24 season brought us. It's great. Like I said, it's great just to have the relationship that we have, the staff members, and to have guys living full time in Regina, because you can bounce ideas like that, casually, through text, in the office, or when our families are hanging together, we're celebrating kids' birthdays or having a water together. You know what I mean? So things like that, man. It's awesome.
Hydration obviously is very important, Coach, and I appreciate that over the holidays. You don't get an opportunity to hang with your colleagues and your peers in a forum like you do right now at these meetings very often. What do you hope to take away from some of those conversations and interactions this week?
No, this is the time. It's just it's so fun to be around. Specifically, I'm staring over here and Killam's talking to Naylor, right? Like me and Killam go back for years, and to see him, here is, I'm so just happy for him, and getting to spend time with guys, I don't get to spend a lot of time with, the Bobby Dices, or the Mike O'Shea's and Buck Pierce. It's great to sit down with these guys and not only talk ball, and sometimes depending on coaches, like I try to pick everybody's brain about a lot of things, specifically guys who've done it longer than me, because I'm curious, and if they're going to give me an answer, like, who am I not to ask? So it's just awesome to be in this atmosphere, and us representing the league. I think down here at this platform is really cool, man, and being able to share those stories not only amongst ourselves but with all these awesome coaches down here at the FCA.
Thanks, Coach. Again, Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. We have 4 questions lined up, so we'll take those 4 and then we'll end it with Corey. Next questions from Rob Van Stone. Please go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Corey, how you doing?
Rob, I got some stuff for you in my office. Petra, get some kind of snacks. I don't know, sugar-free. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to eat them soon if you don't come get them.
Well, if they're sugar-free, why would you want anything to do with it anyway?
This is my point, but that's okay.
I'll bring you some eclairs as a trade. So.
Thank you. Done. So.
I'm just curious, Corey, like there have been a number of re-signings in recent days and weeks, and Malik Carney today. How important is it to just have that continuity with re-signing players in advance of when they can become free agents?
No, great question, Rob. Like, Jo and I, and Kyle, Paul, we we spoke about that in the first year of just identifying things that we wanted to go after. Obviously, we made a huge splash in free agency, in a multitude of spots last year. Uh, Thought process after that is, if obviously you like the product that you have and, guys want to be there and you feel like you can win with certain people, you try to retain obviously as many as you can. And you don't necessarily have to make big splashes in free agency because you know that you have the ingredients of who you sourced out in the first place, on top of people who are already under contract. So yeah, continuity is key, and I would say that from a player in the locker room standpoint, and hopefully in the coaches, from a coach's staff standpoint as well. And inevitably, this is pro sports. You're going to lose people, but you just hope to replace them with great people, and I'm really looking forward to that.
That sort of segues into my next question. By and large, there has been continuity on the coaching staff, but Josh Donnelly and Travis Brown have been added. What are your thoughts on the new additions?
No, they're really, really pleased with that. First, we're losing a heck of a coach in JC Sheridan. What an opportunity for him. And, obviously wish him nothing but the most success outside of obviously playing us. But the addition of Travis Brown to replace him, a coach's son, he's been around the game forever. Obviously with CFL experience and, every room, I mean, he coached JC even. So any room he's been a part of throughout his coaching career in the CFL, tremendous performances from his guys in those linebacker rooms. So love talking ball with him already. Really excited to get him in the building and keep pushing from there. And then the addition of Josh Donnelly, man, I don't want to set the bar high, but kind of a similar transition for Mark Mueller, right? We're starting him on the offense side as opposed to the defensive side, but his knowledge of the game and what he was able to do for the Rams, specifically this last year, and I also think having him come to training camp as a guest coach to kind of just learn and seeing his work ethic so far, as he's already been in the building. He understands it. So excited for his future, mostly for him to learn this year, but definitely also to assist our team, specifically on the offensive side, man. But really, really pleased to keep him, at home and with us. So it's exciting for him and exciting for us.
Thanks, Corey. I'm gonna crowbar your office door and get my stuff as soon as I can.
Go get it.
Thank you, Rob. Next questions from Jeff Hamilton. Please go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Corey, just want to confirm that lifetime contract for Trevor Harris for the 3 Down Boys to report. Just want to make sure that off the bat, that was a lifetime contract for Trevor.
Lifetime. There's a playing and or coaching and or what. If he just wants to hang with me, he can follow me whenever and wherever he wants to, man. I love Trevor Harris. He's awesome.
Right on. On a serious note with Trevor, obviously, I think had a bit of a resurgence last year, if you could call it that. I mean, I think he lived up to the expectations after a disappointing 2023 season. However, 5 games in 2023, 12 games last year. I remember asking you about AJ Ouellette midway through last season and how you were going to make sure change the way you used him, if you will, to maximize his career, to maximize his time on field. Does anything have to change with how you treat Trevor? I mean, obviously you have Jake now, but do you plan on doing things differently with Trevor to maximize his career and have him out there when it matters the most?
Yeah, to be honest with you, some of those things, looking at Trevor's injuries, it's just sometimes it's luck of the draw. He was falling into awkwardly and twisted down in 23, falling into last year. So, I mean, ultimately, I guess we got to firm up and give cleaner pockets. But in saying so, I think we did a pretty good job, specifically being decimated the position in front of him. But certainly for him, knowing Trevor, he's just going to be training maybe a little bit differently, just being able to strengthen the muscles around, places where he's maybe had injuries. But that's it's football, man. It's tough to kind of crystal ball not only your health, but if something does come up to be a nick, or, where in your body is that going to be? Nobody knows. So what I do know is how he attacks not only off season, but in season, his work ethic and how he prepares his body to be in tip top shape. And, I know he is the age that he is, but as he'll tell you, he didn't really start taking a multitude of reps until he was kind of later in his career anyway. So he feels his body feels young, and I think it proves it certainly when he's out there. So we just continue to try to protect the best we can in front of him, that he can just operate the way that we know he can. I think that he proved he could last year. So excited for that.
I can see the fire in Daryl's eyes, so I'll just get out of his way whenever I see that. Daryl,
you're a smart man.
Thank you, Jeff. Next questions from Daryl Davis. Please go ahead, Daryl.
You guys are wrong. It's freezing here. We're just trying to shiver. Hey, Corey.
What's happening, Daryl?
How are you? Rob talked a little bit about losing Sherritt. He was the run game coordinator. How is that going to change the dynamics on your coaching staff?
Yeah, I think just easier for me to talk with JC because we'd worked together before. So we kind of knew how each other operates as far as building together a run plan. But I do plan on doing kind of the same stuff with Travis as well. I just have never had the pleasure to work with Travis, so it's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve for us getting to know each other and how we like to game plan, and collabing from that standpoint. But talking with him already, I know he's very detailed. We were just texting last night about some ideas and stuff. So it'll still probably be kind of the same roundabout way. JC and I would do a lot of stuff together, and Coach Phil Daniels. So I'm looking forward to that, man. And even really truthfully with you, Daryl, just having him working in different staffs, I'm very curious of different things that he would know that he can bring to the defense to give us different looks, and hopefully, obviously, make us even better than what we were as it pertains to the run game, for sure.
Okay, part of the learning curve, you talk about that quite a bit, that you're learning as a head coach and you're going to seminars and everything down there too. What are you learning? What are you looking for? And you're going to get tired of me asking this. You're still the defensive coordinator, and you're planning to stay there. Some coaches I know like to change after a little while. Is that something you plan to stay at long term?
Yeah, I think at some point, I'm definitely I love trying to grow people around me, and I certainly think, elated for, JC Sherritt, elated for Kevin Ivan, elated for Will Fields. Josh Bell's going to be a great defensive coordinator. So yeah, at some point, I will probably let go of it. Just not there at this moment. But in saying so, that does not mean that behind the scenes, prepping guys to take that jump. So, and I'm certainly expecting that guys on staff as well will also make that jump at some point. And I think I'm doing those guys a disservice if I don't prep those guys and probably eventually give it up. But man, I still love it, Daryl. I love being involved in it. I love calling it, and I like challenging myself to be better at it too. So yeah, man, looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you for doing this, Corey. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Daryl. Stay warm, baby.
Will do, buddy.
Thank you, Daryl. Last questions from JC Abbott. Please go ahead, JC.
Hey, Corey, JC Abbott, 3 Down Nation. It got lost in the shuffle a little bit at the end of the season, but Brian Cox Jr. was fined for making an obscene gesture to the fans in Winnipeg after the West final. I know he's a pending free agent, but is that something that you addressed with him after the season, and what was that conversation like?
Yeah, I didn't see it until like a week after. Obviously we talk about how we want to conduct ourselves, and you don't want that, no doubt. But I'd be lying to you to say that a piece of me, finding out the knowledge that he did that to the 31st anniversary, that his father did something like that, a piece of me thought that was like, I don't know if you planned that, but man, that's kind of cool as far as timing. But Winnipeg's a bitter rival. Do we want that? No, we don't want that. Is that going to juice up the rivalry? Maybe.
Last one for me, staying on the defensive line. Anthony Lanier maybe took a little bit of a step back last year, struggled to find his way onto the game day roster at times. Now that he's a pending free agent, have you made a decision on his future as a rider, or are those conversations still ongoing?
Yeah, man, it's still ongoing. Ant obviously can be a force, like many positions, unfortunately for us last year. He got dinged up pretty early in the season, and he missed a few games, and trying to get that rhythm back it was tough. We had some other guys around him that were playing really well. And doing what we want to get done and accomplished within the system. So, we're still in the process of going through and sourcing out and still reaching out to guys that are on our roster currently and pending free agents to get deals done. So no decision yet on Ant, but certainly, very disruptive player, no doubt. I think he still proved that.
Thanks, Corey.
Appreciate you guys.